This sounds fake. A woman repeatedly gave birth to dissected rabbits while royal doctors took notes and nodded along. It isn't. But first, if you like watching people make spectacularly poor decisions in documented detail, the subscribe button is right there and I trust you'll know what to do with it. So, England, 1726. Godalming, Surrey, to be precise. Mary Toft, a local woman of no particular fame, is about to become extremely famous for reasons that would get you sectioned today. On September 27th, she tells people she's miscarried, which is tragic, except what she claims to have miscarried is not a human child, but something vaguely rabbit-shaped. Her attending surgeon, a man named John Howard from nearby Guildford, examines the situation and somehow does not immediately walk out of the room. Instead, he sticks around. This will prove to be a theme. By October 10th, the Weekly Journal or British Gazetteer runs a story about a woman delivering a rabbit-like creature. Someone at that newspaper made an editorial decision that this was news worth printing. The bar for journalism was different then, apparently. But here's the thing. Mary Toft doesn't stop at one rabbit. She keeps going. Over the following week, she delivers more pieces. Not whole rabbits, mind you. Dissected bits, torsos, skins, heads, legs, at least 16 rabbits worth of parts, all told, examined by at least 6 different doctors who nodded thoughtfully and took notes like this was a normal Tuesday. Now, you'd think at some point one of these medical professionals might have said, "Hang on, this doesn't quite add up biologically." But no, the story gets bigger. Word reaches London. Word reaches the royal court. Word reaches King George I himself, who apparently had nothing better to do than hear about the rabbit birthing lady from Surrey. By late November, Mary Toft is brought to London for examination by the top surgeons of the day, including a royal surgeon named Nathaniel St. Andre. These are not country quacks. These are the best medical minds England has to offer, and they watch her deliver more rabbit parts and they believe it. St. Andre himself delivers some of the pieces. He writes about it. He vouches for her. The scientific community is absolutely losing its mind trying to explain how a human woman is producing rabbits like some kind of extremely unsettling magician. The whole thing becomes a sensation. Newspapers run updates. Pamphlets get printed. Poets write about it. Caricatures circulate. This is the 18th century equivalent of going viral, except the woman at the center of it is actively shoving dead rabbits into her own body and pretending to give birth to them, which feels like it required a level of commitment we don't see much anymore. Here's how the scheme worked, by the way, because it did eventually come out. Mary and her husband Joshua would acquire rabbits. Joshua was spotted buying them, which in hindsight seems like a clue someone might have picked up on earlier. They'd unalive the rabbits, skin them, dissect them into pieces, and then Mary would insert those pieces into her vagina. Then she'd fake labor pains. Then a doctor would deliver the parts, rinse and repeat. Some of the pieces still had claws and paws attached, which retained their nails, sharp nails, inside her body for extended periods. The whole process caused her real pain and real risk of infection, which means she was genuinely suffering to pull this off. And I'm not sure what that says about human determination, but it's probably nothing good. The rabbit's paws eventually helped expose the hoax, ironically enough. They showed signs of indigestion from being held in her body too long. A doctor noticed. On December 4th, a man named Thomas Onslow uncovered evidence that Joshua Toft had been purchasing rabbits, which raised the kind of questions that probably should have been raised earlier. The whole thing started unraveling. On December 7th, 1726, Mary Toft confessed. She admitted she'd been inserting dead rabbits into herself the entire time. She implicated accomplices. The jig, as they say, was up. Not one doctor had declared it a fraud until she admitted it herself. Let that sit for a moment. The royal surgeon, multiple respected physicians, all of them absolutely convinced that rabbit birthing was a legitimate medical phenomenon until the woman doing it said, "Actually, no, I've been lying." The whole affair made the medical establishment look spectacularly foolish, which is probably why it inspired so many satires afterward. Mary Toft was charged on January 7, 1727, at Westminster courts as an abominable cheat and imposter, which feels like the legal system being a bit dramatic given that the real victims here were their own professional reputations. She claimed her inspiration came from chasing a rabbit in a field and getting advice from some mysterious woman about the scheme, which honestly raises more questions than it answers. But no one seems to have followed up on the mysterious rabbit advice lady. After the hoax was exposed, the Duke of Richmond exhibited Mary at dinner parties as a curiosity, because nothing says elegant evening entertainment like parading around the woman who fooled the king's doctors with dead rabbits. William Hogarth made engravings about it. She became a weird sort of celebrity, famous for making everyone look ridiculous. The whole episode is a perfect snapshot of what happens when authority figures refuse to admit something doesn't make sense because admitting it would make them look stupid. So instead they double down and make themselves look even more stupid, which is a very human problem that definitely still happens today, just with less rabbit-based fraud. If you'd been a doctor in 1726 and watched a woman produce a rabbit paw during labor, would you have immediately called nonsense, nodded along with your colleagues to avoid looking foolish, or bought your own rabbits to see if you could replicate the results for science? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, stay unhinged.